If you've been following this little program, you should know that I'm a pretty big fan of the Three Stooges, since I grew up in the generation where we were raised on their antics, at least up until 1939. You know what? It's one of the few things in the modern time that brings joy to my heart to see that there's still a bunch of generations after mine that are still fans of the Three Stooges. You had no idea how overjoyed I was to find out that there was a movie made to celebrate the Three Stooges, but it honestly wasn't as good as I was expecting. The movie in question was called Stoogemania, and I'll tell you this one for free, as soon as the movie was over, I needed a long smoke break. The movie is about a guy named Howard. Howard F. Howard. Just like how the Stooges' last names were Howard Fine and Howard. It's like a lot of other kids, he grew up going to the movie theaters to watch Three Stooges shorts. And by that I mean the same 4 shorts they use all throughout the movie. Because apparently they only had the rights to 4 different shorts and everything else completely off limits. And so they were going to use that footage all throughout the movie as much as possible. The plot of this thing is basically Howard has an addiction that's growing all across the country called Stoogemania, where wherever he goes, he keeps seeing the Three Stooges and all their antics everywhere. And this is where they get to use all those old Stooges clips everywhere. He opens up a door, he walks into a room, sometimes he just daydreams that he's just in the middle of a Three Stooges episode. Sometimes these clips they use just go on forever. It makes you feel like you're not even watching a movie anymore. You feel like you're just zoning out and watching a Three Stooges short before you just jumped back into the story. The very little story there is. Howard is about to get married, and there's a whole scene where he meets up with his fiancée and the family, and there's a doctor there, and then again, this is another excuse for them to use more footage. There's a scene where he goes to see a doctor to try and help cure him, but at that point, it's inevitable. He's gone the way of the Stooge maniac, as they say. And so he ends up in a place called Stooge Row. He comes across a couple of other Stooge maniacs, and a bunch of them are doing a bunch of Larry Moe and Curly impressions. They go into movie theaters. They play one of them video game things. It's like one of those big boxes with buttons on it, and it does a thing. They have that going on in the lobby. A huge chase ensues as they're eventually taken away to Stooge Hill to try and be deprogrammed or something. Basically a loony bin for all these Stooge maniacs, and they're trying to tell them that they're not Stooges, and they have them sing a song, and that goes on a little too long in my opinion. Okay, so is this movie supposed to be saying that if you're a Three Stooges fan, you're a basket case who can't discern reality from fiction? Or is this supposed to be some kind of loving tribute? Because then you got these scenes where they're watching the Three Stooges and they're all getting emotional and worked up, and at that point the movie was almost over and I just checked out. The movie ends with one big pie fight, and not a particularly great one either. I mean, I swear, if Mo Howard would come back and slap these bozos up the head and show them how to do a real pie fight, that would have been something. They take out some of the heavies. Howard and his fiance, they just embrace that they're Stooge maniacs, and they run off into the distance, and that's just kind of it. The movie just stops after that. If I can say anything positive about the movie, it had Three Stooges clips in it. I mean, and they were funny, but that's about it. Oh, and it was in color. That's the other thing. It was in color. And I know some people would say that's not much of a great thing and all, but for me, that's still fairly impressive, so I gotta give them that much. One thing I find very strange is that this movie is about the Three Stooges, and they use 4 different Three Stooges shorts all throughout, and only one of them is a coily. The other one is Shemp, or whatever. Again, Shemp was way past my time. I wasn't paying attention to anything after 1939, because that was when I was shoved into the future, so I didn't really understand a lot of the Shemp stuff. Still, that was very shocking. You got 1 coily and 3 Shemp shorts.